What's it like to have AuDHD? Let's find out more about AuDHD with this handy Venn diagram. So we've got autism on one side, we've got ADHD on the other, and in the middle there we've got AuDHD. That's when autism and ADHD exist together in the same person. So with autism, some of the characteristics you might find include sensory sensitivities, rigidity, hypointeroception. That's when you're not very in tune with what's going on in your body, like hunger, thirst, needing the toilet, and so on. And attention to detail, of course, something that us autistic people are famous for. And over here with ADHD, impulsive, we're quite often impulsive, we're easily distracted. Craves novelty is a common characteristic of ADHD. And of course, we're hyperactive often if we have a type 2 or combined. That's what the H in ADHD stands for. But with AuDHD in the middle, what do you find with both? Executive dysfunction is one of the key characteristics. That's when you have difficulty doing a thing, completing a task, or finishing a project. It might be starting a task, initiating something. And while a lot of us procrastinate or we drag our heels when something's a bit boring, the key thing about executive dysfunction is that it happens when you want to do something. That's why it can be quite frustrating. Another characteristic of AuDHD is emotional dysregulation. So we're often quick to anger or upset. We're quite easily frustrated. You might see that in explosive behavior or people bursting into tears or going away, freezing, or shutting down because the amount of emotion we have is difficult to cope with. Actually, hypointeroception should be over more towards the middle because while it's commonly associated with autism, people with ADHD also have hypointeroception, or they can do. So maybe that should be over with AuDHD. And craves novelty, I've put that over on ADHD there, but actually, autistic people can quite often crave novelty too. We're quite curious and we like to go and explore new things sometimes, but only when the circumstances are right. So we crave novelty except when it's better for things to stay the same. Sometimes the ADHD can be quite big. It often presents in a more loud and obvious fashion than the autism. So it looks bigger almost. And sometimes it's so big it can actually almost cover up the autism. And I meet lots of people who are AuDHD, but they've only ever been diagnosed with ADHD because that's presenting so obviously that it almost covers up the autism. And some of these autistic characteristics are almost balanced or counteracted by some of the ADHD ones. So we don't always realize it's there. The opposite can be true too, though. Sometimes I find with autistic people, the autism presents more strongly than the ADHD, and it can overlap the ADHD. It can present first sometimes. There are other factors involved too. So, for example, what's coming in here? Oh, look, it's our old friend trauma. Lots of AuDHD people have also experienced trauma, and this has a big impact on our AuDHD, some of the characteristics we might have and how those present. Mental health challenges are very common. More of us AuDHD people have mental health challenges than not. And again, these mental health challenges can have the same characteristics as those of AuDHD, and they can have an impact on how we present. Other identities play a part too. We know that LGBTQIA plus people are often AuDHD. And we also know that where you're from can be a factor. Your race, your cultural identity, your socioeconomic background, the country that you're from, all of those have an impact on when and where and if you get diagnosed and how you might be supported or not. And of course, your gender is a big factor too. We know that women are historically underdiagnosed with both autism and ADHD. And we also know that women present differently with these conditions. So again, that has an impact on how these conditions might appear and how they might feel. And another thing that makes a difference is whether or not it's Wednesday, because these are dynamic disabilities. So they can feel different, present differently, and need different kinds of support depending on what day it is. And then with all this going on, there's another thing as well. This well, it's not one other thing, is it? It's everything else that you've got going on in your life outside having AuDHD. It's, your family, your physical health, your career, what's going on in your community, your hopes and your dreams, and also even the tiny little irrelevant things like wondering what the bass player from Soundgarden is up to these days. So, I don't think that's really cleared it up for anyone, has it? But I hope that it gives you an idea of how complex AuDHD can be, and that if you have AuDHD, that it's gone some way into explaining what you're experiencing. Thank you.